세네각의 첫 국무회의가 6월 4일 중앙청 국무회의실에서 열렸습니다.
I think it's wonderful. Establishment of KDI, things like that don't just happen out of the blue. In the early 1960s, the environment was terrible. The U.S. government was being very difficult in trying to force policy decisions on the Korean government. And so in 63 and 64, the relations were just terrible. In the summer of 64, there was a dramatic change, both on the Korean side and on the American side. And Park Chung-hee appointed Chang Ki-young as Deputy Prime Minister and Kim Hang-yeol as the Vice Minister at the EPB. And they, before that, the ministers had changed about every 6 months or year, but those two men stayed in those positions for 3 years. And they were appointed and they did excellent work and they were appreciated by the president and kept in place. And at the same time, there was a matching change on the American side. We brought in a new ambassador, a new aid director, and a new team in the aid program. And the old guys had been part of this get tough with the Koreans and haggle over the aid level and to hell with Korea's economy. And we took a very different attitude. We wanted to try to work together with the Koreans and the Korean officials and the Korean people and shift the emphasis from just sustaining the economy to really developing the economy. And so that changed in the fall of 64. And fortunately, at that same time, Kim Man-jae returned to Korea with his PhD, and I came back to Korea as the senior economist in the aid mission. And he came to visit me looking for a job because no Korean university would hire him because he wasn't a graduate of a Korean university. And boy, when I found he came to see me, I said, "Oh, come join me, work with me, help me." And he did. And so we worked together for 2 years and just had a wonderful time, being very positive and very successful. We worked together on the economic policies with the Korean officials at the EPB and at the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Korea, and then the export promotion program in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. That those all got started in 1964-65 and really changed the mood. I think it's important to realize that the second five-year plan was controlled and directed by the Koreans. Kim Hang-yeol, we started having a meeting of the specialists, people working on it, which we finally called the 10:30 meeting, because it wasn't a formal thing and you got invited to it if you were useful, and if you were not useful why you didn't get invited. But that was the meeting where we met and regularly and discussed all of the research and all of the policies and all aspects of the plan. And then I brought in people from the U.S., Irma Edelman and other experts to help in thinking about different issues in the plan. And Irma Edelman worked together in designing the model, an input-output model that we used. And at that time, there was no computer in Seoul that could handle that. And so they took the IBM punch cards, setting up the model, and had to take it down to the 8th Army headquarters in Daegu, the IBM computer there at night when the Army wasn't using it. So they could run this input-output model and produce the results of several different options. And then those were brought to this 10:30 meeting and discussed which one was more effective in producing growth and saving on investment. And the Korean officials made the choice of which strategy they wanted to follow. So we helped in the decision making, but the Korean side made the decisions. But the process of working together, I think, demonstrated to Chang Ki-young and Kim Ang-yeol the importance of having analytical capability to support future planning and future policy making. And there was an annual plan prepared every year, update. And we wrote into the plan that there should be such a research institute, but nothing was done on it. Everybody was too busy developing the economy to worry about the research institute until the last year of the plan. You know, as I said, it was really an outgrowth of the very effective analytical work that was done in preparation of that plan. And we accomplished in a very short period of time a really good plan. And then we had a very well-designed model for analyzing the potential consequences of various choices of development strategy. And so it really was meaningful. I mean, and you can't just count on the universities to do it, and you can't count on people in the Economic Planning Bureau to do it. Up till then, the Planning Bureau was a place where people got kind of assigned when it was considered a dry place. You couldn't make any money in the Planning Bureau. So the Planning Bureau was not a favored place or appointment. And so if you wanted good people to do good work, you needed to find a way to bring them together and create a good environment for them, pay them well, and that then became the foundation for setting up the KDI. And we had people who were already working in the IMF in Washington, and when he went and offered them a job at KDI, why, they left the IMF and came to work at KDI. Not the rest of the world, come help Korea. And so they did. I wrote out a list of some of them that I wanted to mention. But the Hong Won Tak, Ko Bun Ho, Ilsa Kong was there in the early days, and Kim Kwang-suk. Kim Kwang-suk was working for me in the aid mission when Kim Man-che came and joined. But then Ban Sung-hwan was the agriculture sector specialist, and he, together with Dwight Perkins and several others, produced this great work on rural development in the first 25 years of the Korean economy. And Chu Hak-chung was more on population and education. Kim Dae-jung, Song Hui-yun, Kim Wan-sun, that was a great group. And they really set the path. But, you know, a couple of other spin-off effects from that was that when KDI started paying salaries kind of commensurate with what those people could earn if they stayed in the U.S., why that forced the Korean universities to do the same thing. And also some of the people who came to KDI were more interested in teaching than they were in research. And so they moved on to the universities. So it became both a trendsetter in paying adequately and a funnel for spreading out to the economics departments all around the country. You've played a role in strengthening the profession in a very major way. Before, there were some really good Korean professors. Nam Dak-woo and his group at Sogang at that time were very good. Unbelievable. You know, you keep saying you're one of the leading policy research, but the role that KDI has played in the country is just remarkable. I don't think none of the ones I know of have come anywhere near the success and effectiveness that the KDI has achieved. And you've just gone on from, being an economic policy research institute to adding social and other policy dimensions, and then setting up graduate program, and then bringing people from abroad to study in your program instead of going to Harvard or to Vanderbilt or to Williams College. You go to KDI, and now you're providing the technical assistance that those schools used to provide. So you've really taken over the burden of that responsibility and are doing it, obviously doing it very well. So I can't imagine, I leave it up to your creative imagination to think of the next things you want to take on. I don't have any suggestions. You've done them all.